Welcome to the Duval Dive. I am your host, Travis D. Holmes with BigCatCountry.com. And to my left, I believe, we have Jordan Delugo, GenJag. Welcome back to the show, Mr. Co-host. How you doing, though?
Hey, having a great time filling in for Kyle Nash. But hey, I'm happy to
Kyle.
be chatting it up with you. Wish he
Yeah,
was here
man.
with us, right?
I do too, and I know he's somewhere drinking something that's probably illegal in 15 countries. And hey, man, enjoy your vacation, man. Just kick back and yeah, take all the time you need, bro, because this show's gonna be here as soon as you get back. But yeah, man, Wednesday, Jordan and I took a deep look at the Jaguars wide receiver room, but there was so much content. There was so much. I mean, you guys know, you saw the episode. I mean, we were talking about cutting this thing at 30 minutes. You guys had a billion comments and we didn't want to leave you hanging. So this thing, it went over an hour. And we just thought, hey, man, let's just break out this content into another conversation. So we said, all right, why not? Let's do that. So the insane amount of eyes that we're seeing surrounding this Jacksonville Jaguars media and like podcast landscape, it feels like the football community and by proxy, I guess, the fantasy football community kind of just has all these questions and they just kind of keep wanting to discuss this team, whether that's in an odd way or sometimes a weird way is a
Yeah.
whole nother conversation. Yeah, I just had this conversation with somebody else in the media the other day, saying like I just hate when people are just talking about Jacksonville, but they obviously have no idea what's going on in Jacksonville. That's been something that I've frequently seen. I assume you've seen the same if you're looking out on the socials. Is that fair?
Yeah, I try to stay off of social media too much, right? But I read a lot, not on social, but from
Yeah.
around the web on different the big sites talking about the NFL. And yeah, there's a lot of
Mm,
wild takes. Oh, I mean, there's
yeah.
always wild takes about the Jaguars.
Oh, I
It's
mean,
just
I normally try my best to get my information from those folks on the ground. So maybe I get a
yeah.
few less of those wild takes, but again, more conversations surrounding the Jaguars and the national media and just the random podcast landscape. The more of these wild takes you're going to unfortunately see. So I thought, hey man, we talked about how we feel about the Jacksonville Jaguars landscape. You are on the ground. You're at practices. You're at pressers. I'm on the ground. I'm at pressers. I'm at the practices. We know what's going on directly by our own eyes and our own ears of what they're talking about in the locker room and such. Maybe those guys don't. So I just figured we'd have that conversation to start talking about some of those outside comments, whether they hold water, whether they're just nonsense, whatever it may be. So
I'm
yeah, with
excited to get into it.
everyone, yeah, man. So this time of year, it's kind of like everybody's kind of discussing how good and how complete this wide receiver room is. And I thought this might be a good time to kind of dig into those areas where things could maybe even potentially go wrong. So when looking at the room, you got a lot of how this wide receiver room in 2026 is going to perform feels like it's probably resting on just general health. Like that, these guys are going to stay injury free, and more importantly, we're going to look into the specifics of how each of these guys are going to be used in their roles. And I had a really interesting conversation. It was a comment that came back to me in one of my articles on BigCatCountry.com, and it was about the roster limitations. And I was like, I'm gonna note that because we're gonna talk about this on the podcast because this is interesting. It was from MK Man on the comment thread over at bigcatcountry.com. And I want to skip to the section I thought was most important. Because he says, we have a supremely overdrafted bubble screen guy who moonlit as a twice bench corner for a first round clear out guy, a highly paid possession receiver who is reliant on a clear out guy, and a Parker Washington. We are in much the same wide receiver position that we were in the win with Balky, in that everyone is specialized. And if there was an injury to a wide receiver, we don't really have an answer, and that whole group crumbles. Now, I don't believe in the overdrafted. I don't believe in the bubble screen guy. Like whatever the language you want to put around it. The core question that I really wanted to ask you is like, do you see this group as having similar limitations as those in that bulky built 2022 and 2023 wide receiver groupings where everybody kind of had their specific roles, and if a guy went down, they were like in equal trouble because that was a big criticism of his class, right?
Hmm. That's interesting. I would honestly say like Britton Strange changes a lot of that to me.
Mm. Because the tight end for the Jaguars at that time was Evan Ingram, who was way more limited. and what he
Yeah.
could. Is that where you're kind of landing?
Yeah.
Mm,
And look, as good as Evan Ingram was for the Jaguars as a receiving tight end, his impact paled in comparison to what Britton Strange did last year. I'm sorry,
right,
it did.
right.
Even as a receiver, like Britton Strange was a better receiving tight end last year, in my opinion, than Evan Ingram ever was for the Jaguars. Um,
And they didn't even use Britton Strange like they use Evan Ingram, like giving him
yeah,
all those like drag routes and running catch and run opportunities.
yeah. Ingram's faster, but
Yeah,
Strange is better than
that's true.
every other regard, I would say. Um,
That's true.
but yeah, I get the point. Like Jakobi Meyers, and do I think Jakobi Meyers is reliant on a clear out? Do I think Parker Washington is reliant on a clear out? It doesn't hurt. I don't think I would go as far as saying that like they can't be productive without that. Parker, I
Mm.
mean, Jakobi Meyers has been productive everywhere he's been, and there hasn't always been that threat, right?
He's
With
been
him,
reasonably productive, but he obviously took it to another level when he showed up in Jacksonville. I mean, a better quarterback play does that at the same
yeah,
time.
yeah. And I think BTJ has the ability to do that, to clear that out for them. And now, if there's an injury to BTJ, does everything get shrunk down? Well,
That's a big question too.
I don't really think so. I think Parker Washington is I mean, he's not a 40 to 50 yard down the field threat, generally
Yeah,
speaking, but he's a 20 to 30 yards down the field threat pretty consistently.
but if BTJ went down, you have to put Travis Hunter at that X role to be
Yeah.
that clear out guy. I don't think you have
And
much
you
of a
can do
choice.
that. And that's the beautiful thing. You can do
That's
that.
the only one you don't. Maybe you don't have another backup for that role. What I'm if you don't believe that Parker Washington can play that zero like Jakobi, then maybe you feel that way. But otherwise, I don't think that's even true. Like I think you can
Yeah.
make the argument that Parker Washington could play that same that Z or that Y role interchangeably. Same thing with Jakobi Meyers flipping outside. Like I don't think that's a big stretch. So I think I might agree with the original comment that a lot of these guys are specialized. Yes, but that really does just feel like how you feel about Travis Hunter because the commenter obviously did not feel that Travis Hunter could play
Yeah.
a significant snaps outside, like in that BTJ role for fill in the blank reason. He did show it in those 1.5 games, but again, you are saying that's just 1.5 games, so I get that too.
I'll also say this. I can't get too specific here.
Cool.
I strongly believe the Jaguars want to expand upon Travis Hunter only playing slot last year.
Oh yeah, I mean they changed it up those last 2 weeks. It was literally every week they were going up just a little bit.
Yeah.
But yeah, we knew that they only wanted to have him learning the Y role because it was a lot easier last year. But if you've had a whole offseason to be injured on the side, I would
Yeah.
hope you were learning more of those other spots. So
Yeah.
and it also if you've heard more or if you just had an indication from some other area more, then that's great. But
Yeah. I
we'll see
can't.
early.
We're not allowed to get into that. That should give you. If you're somebody who knows what we can and can't talk about,
Right.
that should give you a hint.
Right. But yeah, something that we didn't fully discuss in Wednesday's pod was, for that fantasy crowd, we sort of have to discuss the possible potential that this room could, from top to bottom, like, is it possible that they could be good enough that they cannibalize each other's production? Like, with the overall team benefiting, obviously, but as
Yeah.
far as statistical on-field production, do you see a scenario where all these guys hit the targets that you wanted them to hit in the preseason, and that just meant that none of these guys ended up being those prototypical wide receiver ones because everybody's just getting the ball?
Yeah. 100%. I could definitely see like. Well, with Travis, it just depends how much he's on the field, right? We don't really know.
Reps, yeah,
But
snaps, yeah.
I could definitely see like each one of BTJ, Parker Washington, and Jakobi Meyers getting like 850 yards to 950 yards.
I mean, that's similar to what it was last year, right?
Yeah.
Basically, like 875, oh, 847 for Parker, 707 for Jakobi. 707 for Brian Thomas, 483 and half the season for Jakobi. That's basically
Yeah.
where you're landing.
Yeah.
Jeez. I
So
mean,
I would not
yeah,
be
yeah.
at all surprised if that's how exactly how it is again next year.
I mean, that's basically what it was. So if you're assuming they're all at their best, which is obviously a high bar, like I'm aware this room is good everywhere, but that could still mean that they're nursing leads also. Like it could mean that they're leaning on the run game using those 3 tight end sets you were talking about on, well, I believe you said 2 tight end sets on
Yeah.
Wednesday, to be, if my memory serves me correct.
Yeah.
But they got all those guys that they can use all those tools that they have under the Christmas tree now.
Hmm.
Um
They
and
could
that
also get into
then
22. I mean, that's something they didn't really bring out last year, but they have, I think, backs to do it.
they talked about doing it in the preseason and it just you never saw it in the season.
Yeah.
Maybe because they were struggling just with the offense and they didn't want to try to get into like deeper into the bag when they were just
Yeah.
trying to simplify things after the bye. Could have been as simple as that. Well, who knows? But yeah, that's only looking at the run game aspect of that tight end room. Because I'm like, yeah, they can use that tight ends, and maybe if they're running the ball more, then you're just going to see a lot less wide receiver production overall. But what about the pass game? For that same tight end room, like you got Jacksonville's 2 additions behind Britton Strange. You got the potential they run more 12 and 13 personnel, more 2 backs, more 11 personnel. Less 11 personnel, like the 3 wide receiver sets. So
Yeah.
even a 10% uptick in the tight end usage that the Jaguars use in 2025, all of a sudden you're talking about these guys having less snaps on the field, the whole wide receiver group, wide receiver 2 and wide receiver 3, and you're talking about their production all being a little bit lower. And that's before we even get into the whole conversation between BTJ and Parker Washington that we talked about on Wednesday. So it's like, okay, however you going to split this baby, everybody's stats could potentially be a little bit farther down. And if you're the fantasy football community, you biting your nails like, ugh, I don't like any of this. Like,
Yeah.
that's just real. That's the cannibalization part of the conversation, at least.
Yeah. Like I said, I think if I had to guess, I'm picking Parker to get the most receptions. But like I told you Wednesday, I would probably just take the if I was going just I need to take a Jaguars wide receiver in fantasy football, right? I would
Mhm.
probably just take the third one that's
And
available.
that's me every year, just so you know. In every Jaguars draft that I'm ever in, in every fantasy football draft that I'm ever in, I always take at least 1 to 2 Jaguars, and it's
Yeah.
probably going to be the one that goes on the waiver wire or the one that's in one of my last picks. Just
Hmm.
all right, cool. Let's make this happen. But I don't believe we ever really brought up the whole spreading the wealth, Liam Coen quote that he said after practice on Wednesday. Um, and he, the quote was basically, the ball gets spread out on offense to multiple different players. It doesn't really need to feed through one person. So I think that's something that him and BTJ, Liam Coen and BTJ had to work through. So that's something that he had to work through. We all had to work through it. I've been very pleased with the way that he's attacked this offseason. And we already talked on Wednesday about, BTJ's post practice interview, just talking about all the ways that he attacked this offseason, running and gaining 8 pounds and all of those things. But just wanted to share this with you. Like I said this last week, Puka Nacua was 4th in the league with 166 targets last year in 16 games played, and likely would have landed around second place if you want to average that out had he been healthy enough to play every game. So like I do hear Coach Coen in this comment, but also this offense will absolutely pepper the right guy with targets in this scheme if he's not the guy who's primarily running like clear outs. That's what I was really I didn't know how to read that comment, if I'm being honest with you. Because it's like, you're right, but also that's not fully the full answer, if you know what I mean.
Yeah. So
Mm,
I think it's this current Jaguars offense is going to go through all the different guys because we don't have a
mm,
superstar, is what Liam
mm.
Cohen is saying.
So he's saying because you're not that guy. If you were that guy, you get the targets.
Yeah. And
Jesus.
they thought he was that guy last year entering the season, and he just wasn't as consistently enough, right?
Well, yeah.
Um,
I mean, he's got to be
they
able to run
targeted
those
him.
inside routes.
He had at least 6 targets the first 7 weeks of the season in every game, and
Yeah. Yeah.
they were targeting him a lot, and then they didn't target him as much down the stretch. Things changed. Jakobi Meyers arrived. Parker Washington broke out. Brenton Strange got healthy.
Yep.
All these different things happened, and so I think with this Jaguars team, they're not going to have a legitimate, this guy is our wide receiver one. This guy has to get 10 targets every game, because that's not, they don't have that guy on the roster right now. They have
Now,
a lot of
was that?
guys that can get 10 targets in a game, but not a lot of guys that need 10 targets every game.
Was
Or
that
no
not
guys.
one of the big criticisms of that Trent Baalke wide receiver core in 2022 and 2023, though? Like they had a lot of guys who could be really good number twos, but when you get down to it, you have a lot of teams that will play you in some bump and run coverage and say, "Beat me," and they couldn't. And then the Jaguars were facing something similar to that in that Buffalo game.
Yeah, I think the hope is in that scenario, BTJ and Travis Hunter can take over for you
in those games when you have,
I mean, that's
press
the
man and your
ultimate,
receivers.
like, that's the ultimate highest level outcome, is if BTJ and Travis Hunter become like the duo long term.
That would be good. That would be dope. But that was a dream when Travis Hunter was drafted for this team, as everybody was just dreaming about. Oh yes, this dude on that side, this dude on this side, and we got two Jamar, Jeffersons, or two Jettis and two Chase and whatever you want to call it. I don't know the combination, and it just never materialized, unfortunately, for both of them having their own issues. We'll say, like one alignment and the other one just trying to get it right, running those inside routes. But in this offense, BTJ has to be able to run those option routes and catch the ball through contact to even earn those high target numbers he's probably looking for. And that was what brought us to our BTJ concerns, because those were his concerns coming into the league. And folks just forgot about it because of that rookie season. So now it's like, oh, now we got to go back and figure out what it is that we thought we knew versus what we knew. And this was one of the comments on Big Cat Country from back in late May. Jack's commenter guy says, I remember immediately after we drafted BTJ seeing things like, sure, he only runs deep routes or only takes a screen for Yak, but that's because he didn't have anything else. But he totally has the full route tree, and here we are. And that stinks, because it's kind of like, well, yeah, we thought that he could run it, and it was all based on potential coming out of LSU. And then he ended up struggling, not doing it. But now they're building him back up from the start and figuring out what they can do with him. And I mean, again, he's still good at the deep ball. He was always good at the deep ball. Yeah. But now we're just trying to figure out what he can and can't do. And I think Coen's kind of put into that same spot as it currently stands right now. Will he be able to get the target share? Depends on if he's going to be able to do the other stuff. And we still don't know if he can or not. I don't think that's unreasonable from where I'm at. Like,
can he work in the middle of the field? That's the question.
You've been raving about his deep ball this offseason.
Yeah.
I've been with you raving about that deep ball this offseason, but the original question still sits out there. It's just lingering. Like, all right, what about the other stuff? Will you be able to do the other stuff, or are we just going to act like that's not happening?
Yeah. I mean, I think vertical plane on the outside, that's all green light for me with BTJ.
Yeah. Yeah.
Even the screen stuff, like, I'm fine with that. Screen all the way to the
if the rest of the team can figure out screens, then I think he'd be fine. Like that, they have other issues that we're talking about. Balls not down at the line of scrimmage, offensive line, all that stuff.
It's just, can you be more than that?
That's the question. And I wouldn't be against it if you have another like neighbors on neighbors on the other side, where you can just use BTJ as a deep ball guy and a screen guy like they did in college and just call it a day. But that's
and
that's
he did help.
Wanted to be.
He helped everyone last year, even when he wasn't playing great. He helped them. He helped Parker, and he helped Jakobi and Brenton, because he makes space. He absolutely still made space, even when he wasn't performing at his best.
I mean, yes, he did make space, Sure, but
And usually got the number one
Tutu
receiver.
Otwell made space.
Usually got
I'm
the
gonna be
number one
honest.
corner too.
That's fair.
Tutu wasn't getting that.
Tutu wasn't getting number one corner. I give you
Yeah.
that. Devontae Adams maybe getting number one corner. Like that's a different conversation.
Yeah.
Maybe.
One thing I wanted to go back for a second though,
Go ahead.
because we talked about the amount of targets a guy's going to get in this, and what Liam Coen said. We're going to spread the wealth around this offense.
Yeah.
We've talked about this before, you and I. Parker Washington down the stretch last year, over the last 4 games, his target pace over a 17-game season was over 160 targets.
Was it really?
Yeah.
Parker Washington was Puka Nacua?
He had 38 targets in the last 4 games. He had 9 targets against Denver, 10 targets against Indy, 9 against Tennessee, and 10 against Buffalo.
Wow. Wait,
he went off.
I thought he had 12 against Buffalo. He had 10 against Buffalo?
Yeah.
Oh,
and he went
I don't know why
off.
my memory was telling me I thought he had 12. Dang.
Yeah.
Oh, that's crazy.
He had well over 400 yards and 3 touchdowns.
Yeah, he was number one. He was definitely a top 3 receiver those last like 4 or 5 games or whatever it was. So yeah. I believe you when you say it. I'm just like, is that going to?
And my point isn't about Parker. My point is when the Jaguars, when Liam Coen knows he has a guy that can do that in that moment, he's gonna pepper them.
There. So it's just a question of who is that guy this week, and is that week going to turn into 2 weeks, going to turn into a month, going to turn into the season, or are we just talking about that's just this week? We'll see if you re-earn it again the next week.
Yeah, and I think for him, the way he's communicating with Brian Thomas Jr. about the, targets and spreading the wealth, it's like he has to get BT to realize like he's not just the number one guy. He's got to go earn that.
Which is still crazy to me because, again, he played with Neighbors in college, right? Like, so he has to be on some level used to not being the number one guy.
But when you're a rookie and you get 1,300 yards and everybody's talking you up like all off season, not even just in Jacksonville, but everyone around the league, from fantasy people to film people to TV people, everybody.
That's true. That's a fair point. That's a really good point.
And then you get popped in the mouth. It's like, dang.
The season pops you in the mouth. That's a fair point. I didn't think about it from that perspective though. Like, you're talking like a millionaire who's on top of the world, who think they got it, they think they figured it out and everything else. And then it's just like, wait a minute, what's happening? And I just can't figure it out. I can't get it right. It's a new offense. It's all the stuff that happens.
That's why I was so impressed with his interview the other day, because he just seemed like he is in a good place from a maturity standpoint to take a step, to learn from what happened.
I got you. No, I see. I see. And I might even be with you that it's going to be a week by week thing where they're going to have to earn it and figure it out and everything else as far as the targets are concerned. And that's a big part of it, even though it might not necessarily be the ending goal of all of it, because I do think, at least, again, I'm not trying to only talk about for the fantasy football perspective, but from the fantasy football perspective, I do believe that this room is going to come down to who scores the most touchdowns, not necessarily the yardage and the targets overall. I'm talking about the true red zone targets, and who's going to be able to capitalize on those. And I'll be honest and say, I see that guy as Parker Washington, not talking about just because he's going to be peppered in targets all season long, but because of his strengths, his being good in those contested catch situations, him being good in tight window situations. I just see that that's probably him. If you're talking about the receivers, but with this team being so deliberate in bringing in Chris Rodriguez and, already having Bayshaw Tootin and his strengths in short yardage and those 2 guys, and then you got Brenton Strange, and I'm like, Brenton Strange, man, the highest success rate on the team. Like, he's just the guy who you depend on in any have to have it situation. If it's not Jakobi Meyers, it's Brenton Strange. So then you got the other guys down on the pecking order, because those got to have it moments are your red zone scenarios when you just feel like you gotta I need it. I need a catch. It's in the red zone. These are my guys. Then this is probably your pecking order. Obviously, Tim Patrick's not going to be up there for those of you looking on the YouTube side.
Mm-hmm.
But the gist of it being is like, I'm like, if that is where you are, Brenton Strange, he led the team in receiving success rate. Jakobi Meyers was super dependable. And then I don't know if you're going to have enough touchdown production outside of like injuries to say that it's going to be someone else. Like if I have gun to my head, I got to say it's got to be somebody. It's probably going to be Brenton Strange, or I'm projecting it to be Parker Washington, maybe. But there's so many mouths to feed that I'm just like, who am I betting on to get the red zone targets in this group, bro? Like
How about Trevor Lawrence
that's
and those legs?
well, I don't think they wanted to do that last year. I think they did it because they didn't have a choice. Like that's something that they want to bring out ever so often because
I
it
don't think they're going to
throws teams
design it,
off.
but
They
you
designed it
know,
a lot last year,
I
though.
know. I
That's what
don't
I
think they're
mean.
going to design it as much, but a big thing that happened was, if the first, second, third read's not open quick, go get it.
I mean,
And he
yeah,
did that a lot. And he's always been able to kind of find the end zone in the red zone.
it's so weird. I trust Trevor Lawrence so much on schedule, but off schedule, I'm all kinds of nervous, bro. Like, like I'm being real with you.
Yeah.
I could lie all day, but I'm going to be honest. On schedule, I feel like he's on it. I feel like but off schedule, I got all the questions because I can
Okay.
count on. No, no, I ain't gonna over exaggerate. I'm not gonna over exaggerate it, but I can. I was gonna say I can count on two hands, but I don't think that's true. But I have a lot of plays in my mind that I remember, and I'm just like, "Ooh, that was
What
off
were you
schedule."
thinking?
Well, I'm thinking of when he threw
No,
the
no, no.
ball out of
Like you're saying,
bounds.
what were you thinking, Trevor?
Oh yeah, what was he thinking? Yeah. That. Yeah, and it's kind of those plays are the ones that I'm like, all right, cool. I want him to run it. I do want him to run it, but also if he can improve that area of his game, I think he is not just like a top 5 quarterback. He's a top 2 in the league kind of top conversation because I think that's one of the only areas that I don't think he has fully just yet. Getting me off schedule and making the plays while moving and not actually having a base under him, if that makes
Yeah.
sense. Like,
Yeah. There's flashes of that, right?
yeah,
There's
yeah.
flashes of it, but it does feel like, okay, what's going to happen now?
And I don't like having that feeling
Yeah.
because I
Like
can be
when
honest
Josh
and say that
Allen
it
gets
exists.
off script, you're like, okay, they're about to
You're
do
like, uh
something
oh,
great.
right, oh.
Patrick Mahomes is off script. It's like, okay, he's about to do something great. Trevor Lawrence, it's like, maybe, or this could be disastrous.
And you don't know where it's going to land. It
And
feels
that
more
was
like a coin
completely
flip.
encapsulated against the Chiefs on the final play of the game.
Oh, the final play of the game
The,
against the Chiefs.
wasn't that the final play? Maybe it wasn't. The
I'm trying to
run,
remember what the final play was.
the run
Oh,
where he fell and got
when he
up.
falls and then he gets up and runs it in on it's on our intro. I don't even know how I forgot that. Goodness gracious, yes. And that is
I
absolutely
mean,
the Trevor Lawrence play.
yeah,
Yeah, that makes sense, bro. Um, but I I got questions. When you're looking at this Jacksonville Jaguars passing operation, it's one thing, and I think it's an easier conversation to say that this passing operation is incredible because you believe in the coach, because you believe you're starting to believe in the quarterback. At least that feels like that from the vantage point of the fan base, right?
yeah,
But when you're just looking at the wide receiver room, there's been a lot of people in the fan base who believe that this wide receiver room is truly a top 5, maybe. Well, I say top 5, but realistically, top 10 easily, maybe top 5 in the NFL. How are you feeling of where you think where do you think this team lands as far as that's concerned, just starting with the guys that we have on the roster, what we think they're going to actually like perform?
it's so difficult to separate the receivers from their situation,
Mm-hmm.
right? Which fortunately you don't actually have to do. Um,
Right, just so you know, this is the AF, this is like some of the top AFC teams. You got the
yeah,
Patriots, the Broncos, the Bengals, and the Jaguars. Somebody named the Titans, and I was like, no, that's stop
no.
being crazy, that's trolling. um but yeah, you obviously can't put them over. Well, I say obviously, maybe you disagree. I was thinking you probably aren't putting them over the Bengals and the Patriots, but maybe you disagree with that. I don't know. Um,
No, I'm with you.
okay.
I think every single one of these lists, though, there's one thing in common.
What's that?
The Jaguars 3 and 4 smokes every 3 and 4 here.
And that's where the Jaguars win often.
Yeah.
Is like
So
your third and fourth, your third cornerback or your safety is not going to be able to consistently guard a Parker Washington or a Travis Hunter, and that's what makes it fascinating. Like, because
and then
your
Britton
top corner might
Strange
be able
too.
to guard, Sutton
Yeah.
or Waddle, but
Yeah.
yeah, the Jaguars will win on getting that third and fourth matchup where you just can't do nothing about it. And I think you might be right. The Jaguars might have the deepest receiver room. It's just the top end might be better in some other rooms.
Yeah.
Is
I
that
mean, you obviously have to take Chase and Higgins over everybody.
Yep.
Got to.
Yep. And even the third receiver, I can never say his name, but yeah,
Yoshivas. Yeah, he can play.
Yoshivas. Yeah, even he can play. So it's like, I see what you mean. Like, that's
I'd
not
still
bad.
much rather have Parker Washington than Yoshivas, but
True. But Jamar Chase is a thing.
yeah. I mean, we kind of shut down
But
Cortland Sutton, but Jalen Waddle, it's a baller.
Right. Right.
And I still think AJ Brown is like, I think he's going to be on one this year, man.
He's really dang good.
I think
he's going back with Mike Vrabel.
Yeah. And he's going to have something to prove.
Yeah. I think people in Jacksonville were down on him and talking about how he was acting in Philadelphia. And in my head, I'm just like, y'all don't watch the games, bro. That dude
glad he's not in Philadelphia, but now you got to play him in week 2, I think, or week 3, whatever it is.
Right. Romeo Dobbs. And I'm just like, yeah, he's not bad either. And I'm like, having Botti as your number 3, I'm like, that's not bad either. So yeah, overall, I think the Jaguars they're definitely a top 10 wide receiver group, just because of the depth of that room and the options that you're going to have on getting your right matchup. But also, the better, maybe even the spicier question for me is, do you believe that this Jacksonville Jaguars passing operation, so you're adding Britton Strange into the conversation, you're adding Trevor Lawrence into the conversation, do you think that passing operation could make a top 5 appearance, or maybe even I even help you out? How about top 7? Easily. Do you think that they're in that area? Oh, easily.
Yeah. Ooh. I mean, I think down the stretch last year they were top 3.
So for reference, this is what I have as the top 7 right now.
Okay.
Dallas Cowboys, Rams, Bengals, Lions, Seahawks top 5, Vikings at 6, and Patriots at 7.
Yeah, I think they can easily be ahead of the Bengals. Again, give me Jamar Chase and T. Higgins, right? And I love Joe Burrow, but
I'm just listening.
I think Liam Coen is a better offensive coach than Press Taylor's brother. Lions,
I hate that we don't call that man his actual name. We just call him Press Taylor's brother, which is just
Zach. What's up, Zach? I know you're out there. Obviously, he's tuned in to Duval Dive right now.
So disrespectful, but it's so funny.
I had to do it. But I mean, Lions, coin flip. I think Trevor's way more talented than Jared Goff. I think they got better offensive coaching than the Lions do right now.
You think Trevor's more talented than Jared Goff? And you think the coaching staff is... Well, actually, I do agree with the coaching because I don't like their new OC.
Yeah, I mean, I think he's light years more talented than Jared Goff.
Okay.
Seahawks is interesting because I think losing Clinton Kubiak matters for them.
It could, and I don't know what
I think it matters a lot. But obviously JSN is still a stud.
Right.
Vikings, I would definitely have the Jaguars ahead of them.
I think the receiving core is really dang good, but the quarterback is the question mark, obviously.
Yeah, I mean, I'm taking Liam Coen and Trevor Lawrence over O'Connell, which Kevin O'Connell's great, but Kyler Murray and Kevin O'Connell versus Liam Coen and Trevor Lawrence, I'll take Liam and Trevor.
I mean, I don't know.
Even with the receivers they have.
Kyler Murray isn't a bad quarterback, depending on the offense you're putting around him. That's why I'm
I don't think he's going to be nearly consistent enough.
Oh, consistency. We've never seen that in his career, so I can give you that. But we also
Um,
have rarely seen the consistency with Trevor Lawrence also. So we're hoping on that consistency now with Liam Coen, which I think is
but
fair.
so the difference is with Kyler, you've never seen it for like 3 games in a row.
True.
With
Liam
Trevor, you've
Trevor
seen it
Lawrence
for
has
like
had spurts.
10 games in a row for like multiple times.
Yeah. I mean, Trevor, you've seen 7 to 10 game spurts multiple
Yeah.
times. Yeah. I think
So
that's fair. Okay.
um,
But
I think they can easily be top 7. I think they can be
right.
top 5. I think they
So
can be
top
top 3.
7 is easy. You're one, but your question, wait. So you're saying top 3? You think is actually like realistically in the
I
realm
think
of
it's on the
possibility?
table because that was what happened last year at the end of the year. The back half of the
I mean,
season, there
true.
weren't 3 better passing teams.
I hate when we do everything in small sample sizes because then it just deletes everything that happened before that. Because
But
then
I
we have
believe
to,
that they
we
can
have
be
to
better than that because of BTJ and Travis Hunter.
right, but we still have to acknowledge that week 6 and week 7 happened.
But you're asking
If
me
and if week
what I
6
think is
and
going to happen.
yes, I'm with you. I'm with you.
Yeah.
I just want
What
to
I think
point
is
out
going
that
to happen.
you were saying based on what happened at the end of the season, and I'm like, yeah, but then the playoffs happened, and that passing game didn't look like it looked in those late weeks because you were now playing against playoff teams and not just the Titans. I mean, the Broncos was a good game. To be clear,
Yeah.
I'm just pointing out the opposite end of that, the opposite side of that coin. On
Right.
well,
But my
playoff.
assessment of the situation is that that's the direction they're moving in.
I got you, and I'm actually
And
with you.
with Travis Hunter and BTJ, maybe, I mean, BTJ hopefully playing better, Travis Hunter being available, um, I feel dang good about it. I would put them top 5 with the potential to be top 3.
So you put a top 5, but you put the Bengals a little bit lower. Is that where you were landing on that one?
Yeah, I would put the Bengals a little lower.
I got you. Okay.
It's
Um,
hard to feel
and
confident in them consistently. Like there's always something up.
they always hurt. They're
Always.
always hurt. That's, mm, that's what it is. So, um, back on our original subject. Like, just I wanted to get that ranking out because I wanted to get your opinion of that on the records because we're gonna have a whole podcast just ranking the different positions and everything else. You may or may not be here. Hopefully, you will.
Yeah,
But
hopefully.
I wanted to get it on the record at least. Um, I need for folks to kind of understand where a lot of this off-season media noise is kind of coming from because they're like we've talked about some of the real life X's and O's conversations between you and I, and we've even on this podcast have had some of the fantasy football conversations, but that's where it kind of feels like folks are just trying to land on what this offense is going to be for the fantasy football drafts that's kind of coming. But the main problem I always have with the fantasy football dialogue is that the whole way this system is built is what the problem is. It's not even the people. It's not the fantasy football people. Because when folks say fantasy football in bio as a derogatory term, it's like it's not about you, Mr. Fantasy Football guy. It's about your system. So like just let me get this off my chest. It's something I've said to Cal numerous times, but it's like the entire conversation around the fantasy football game, it prioritizes dark horse candidates. Like it prioritizes the underdogs and the diamonds in the rough or whatever you phrase, whatever wrapping you want to put it in. But that's why we have so many off seasons where there are so many misses by the various fantasy football analysts because they're looking for the penny stocks when there's like Apple sitting right here because that's just
Mm-hmm.
too boring to talk about. You know what I mean? Like so that's been a theory of mine for like forever, and I was just kind of wondering like from your vantage point, do you see it as that these guys are just bored or they just wrong as hell? Like I don't know where to go with that.
I just think they gotta have content, man. They gotta keep
You just
making
think it's
content.
content farming.
I don't
So
think
it's just
that I don't think they think it's that, but
ooh.
I don't think that they're trying to content farm for the most part. I think they're trying to put out good content. And so you got to just, if you're trying to put out good content, you got to keep diving deeper and deeper and deeper into the rabbit hole.
Mm.
Good, consistent
Okay.
content on a daily basis, you know?
Interesting. So you don't think it's purposeful? You just think it's just a result of, hey man, I just got to keep digging for gems. So
Yeah.
eventually, I'm gonna have I'm gonna have some misses, and it is what it is. But it gets the clicks. Okay,
Yeah. And I
that's
mean,
that's
like
a
you said,
that's a
let's be real.
novel
Like
way of looking at it.
four, your top 4 rounds. I mean, if you're not getting big hits, you ain't winning.
Probably, unless you get
Man,
really lucky on your waiver wire or something, like
yeah.
somebody get
I
hurt.
mean, it's still mostly based off of selecting good in the first few rounds.
Yeah, yeah, you're probably right, and
Yeah.
and having appropriate injury luck.
Yeah.
Um, but that process for digging for gems is like what it's like when fans get like crazy fanatic about undrafted free agents every year. Like
Yeah.
the pure math says most of these guys ain't gonna make it,
Mm-hmm.
with only a few of them making the cut, and it results in like a boatload of offseason conversation about guys getting pumped up by the media, and it just come back. It become background noise. Like their job is to just keep shooting, not be correct more times than not. Like so, I just wanted to kind of point out that the difference in conversations that's being had on the socials and in public for folks to have like to make better sense of what's real versus just what's like you said content or content farming, not maybe not purposefully, but that's kind of what's happening at least.
Yeah.
Um, yeah,
And
but
maybe it's kind of like the weather, man. You know,
in what way? What you mean by that?
like you don't got to be right, but you just got to keep shooting.
I mean, I guess I thought the weather people were supposed to be right though. Like that's the
No,
maybe I'm off on this. I'm over here trusting the
weatherman's
people, other
wrong all the
people.
time.
Hey man, if that's
It's difficult in Florida
from
to be
my
right.
understanding, I thought weathermen were right. They were just being interpreted wrong. So I've met
Oh,
a weather
okay.
person. I met a weather person back in like let's say 2007, 8, something like that. When I was up in Michigan, and what he told me was the weather, and this ain't got nothing to do with football. I'm sorry, y'all. This is just an aside. He was like, "No, man. When we tell y'all it's a 40% chance of rain, we're not telling y'all that there's a 40% chance of it raining. I'm telling you straight up, 110% chance that there is going to rain on 40% of this area. It's not that it's going. We know for sure it is
Right.
going to rain in 40% of this area. We just don't know if you're exactly in that area because this is the
But
zip code."
they're still
And I
wrong about that. They
is
are
that
still wrong
wrong?
about
I
that.
don't know.
Maybe not in Michigan, maybe in Florida though.
I have
Because
no idea.
I mean, I was looking at the radar the other day, which I know the local weather people on the news are not making the radar. But I'm
Yeah.
standing outside looking at the radar, getting rained on, and it says that there's not any rain within 10 miles of me.
So
Like,
that ain't
okay.
rain, bro. You being peed on by somebody in the airplane. That's what
Yeah.
that was. I'm
Uh
sorry.
huh. So,
Right.
anyways,
Um.
fantasy, most fantasy leagues you're in, even if you're like an absolute like ringer in fantasy, you're not winning
Yeah.
most of them, right? So
About half. I say probably if you're a ringer,
half.
maybe if you're a
I
ringer.
don't think so.
I mean, I think I'm probably at that 20 to 30% range. If I had to look up all of my fantasy leagues going back
Yeah,
in
but
the
you're
years,
not playing with all experts either, are you?
I mean, sometimes I am.
Yeah.
I just go where I go where I'm asked to go.
But you
But
know
yeah,
what I mean?
I'm
Like if
probably not
you're
at.
in like an expert league with all these people that are analysts in fantasy, like those
Yeah.
guys aren't winning half their leagues.
Yeah, and probably not. You're right.
They'd be probably
You're
happy
right.
to win like 15 to 20% at most, I would guess.
That's probably right. You're probably right.
So,
But yeah, let me wrap this bad boy up. Yeah, I thought let's just wrap it up with the last interesting fantasy football tweet from Adam, because this all started based on some conversation by Adam Koffler over at Rotoballer. So I didn't know where to 100% lie with this comment, if I'm being honest, but I did want your thoughts on it since it's talking about the Jaguars wide receiver room. I was curious if you agreed. He says they panic added Jakobi Meyers when Travis Hunter got hurt, not realizing that they already had in Parker Washington. Talking about the Jacksonville Jaguars. I don't know how to agree. I don't know how to fully feel about this because I understand exactly what he's saying. And on some level, I even had the original thought at one point or another in the 2025 season. And I kind of wanted your thought process. Is
okay.
off base or no?
So, sorry, I'm looking up something here.
I
When
got you.
did Parker Washington break out? This is actually really funny. Parker Washington's big
Parker.
breakout was against the Broncos. 145 yards and a touchdown.
Because that was the game that was the game after he was slow played. That was the first game when he broke out because they basically gave him like a 40 and a 50% snap rate in the 2 weeks before that. After
that was hurt. December 21st.
Mm-hmm.
Jakobi Meyers signed his contract December 19th. That's just kind of funny. So, because my immediate reaction to that tweet was, well, okay, even if you want to say they panic traded for Jakobi Meyers, which I don't think that that's the case.
Yeah, he was going to be traded. I thought he was going to be traded for like week 5. Like there was a point late before the bye week that I've been like, and everybody in the it wasn't just like I'm smart and no, we all were having this conversation in the media. Like they were likely going to trade for Jakobi from that.
It just made too much sense.
Yeah, it was a match made in heaven.
Yeah, and then not only did they trade for him, if you're saying they panic traded for him, well, if it was a panic trade, then why did they sign him?
So, panic added Jakobi when he got hurt.
If it's a panic move, then why are you extending him?
But you have to extend him after you trade for him. That's the part that kind of goes hand in hand, right?
Pick back. I don't think so.
You don't think you had to trade for him? I'm sorry,
not sign him.
You don't think you have to extend him after you trade for him?
No.
You gonna look a little foolish on that one, especially as well as he played. Let's be real. Like,
well, that's part of the thing I'm saying. Like, if you panic trade for someone a 4th round pick, and then he doesn't play well, no, you don't have to extend him. But yeah, the way he was playing, absolutely, you want to extend him.
Ooh, that's rough. Again, I thought it was quick that they gave him the money, but I thought it was quick that they gave CBL the money too. Honestly, like I understood the philosophy. Like people give people money all the time without seeing them play. It's called free agency. So if you saw him play for 5, 6, 7 games straight and then gave him the money, it's a little bit better than pure free agency, right? So I get the thought process. You saw him in your system. You saw it worked. You saw how his impacts had around the rest of the team and the rest of the group. It made sense.
And neither of those guys were top of the market contracts either.
Also true. Yeah, so I think Jakobi got like $20 million a year.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that makes sense. So I don't agree that it was a panic trade. I think you just specifically. I mean, you were in the room with us. Like you have those conversations. We're in the room together having these conversations about the fact that they're going to trade for a guy, and it's probably going to be this guy. I mean, hell, we wrote articles on Big Cat Country again, going back weeks, talking about weeks into the season of 2025, talking about the fact that Jakobi Meyers just made a lot of sense, and because he didn't want to be in Las Vegas in that off season heading up into the season last year. So it was a known as far as that's concerned. But again, that's the guy who's not necessarily on the ground, but that's a fantasy football community. So I say those conversations aren't necessarily the same as the conversations we're having because we're a little bit more locked in on the small things with the team, unfortunately.
And how about this? Jakobi Meyers is now, and I know that his point had nothing to do with the contract, but Jakobi Meyers is now, so like it sounds like Koffler is just like wanting to do the Parker Washington propaganda to the max, right? Whatever. That's fine.
Fantasy, yeah.
Jakobi Meyers is the 22nd highest paid receiver in football. 22nd. I mean, that ain't bad.
That ain't bad. Especially when most of the time you have a lot of these rookies who are also on low cost contracts.
When you look at the guys that are around him, like all the guys that are below him, I would take him over. Calvin Ridley, Jerry Jeudy, Michael Pittman, Wan'Dale Robinson, Romeo Doubs. I think he got paid what he should have got paid.
Yeah, I don't even think that's arguable. When he signed the contract, it didn't seem crazy.
Cole Van Lannon is the 16th highest paid left tackle, which again, very reasonable.
Yeah, and that's going to obviously go down even just by next year.
Yeah,
like it's not going to get higher as far as that's concerned. So yeah, I'm with you. It's not bad. It's just we'll see. I got other concerns about Cole Van Lannon. Yeah, because it was so quick, and you want to know what it's going to be long term. You want to know what it's going to be post injury. You want to know this? Yeah, there's so many moving pieces on that, but it's not a bad contract at all. It's very much like the Walker Little contract, and I know that don't sound great if you're a Jacksonville Jaguars fan. I know. I'm just saying it's not a bad contract monetarily. He got to
Yeah.
play on the field either way.
Yeah. And it's not going to cripple you either way.
That's it. That's it. So at the end of the day, I'm so happy. I'm so thankful that you came and continue to have this conversation, bro. We went another 50 minutes after going an hour and 5 or an hour and 4 on Wednesday. So, bro, gold. I appreciate you so much, man. Let the people know where you can be found. Like where are you putting out all your content? Where are you selling that dope hat? Like let them know.
Yep. You can get the hat I'm wearing, GenJag.com. A lot of other fun Duuuval gear. You can check us out on YouTube or your podcast platform of choice, GenJag. We got Duval Daily dropping a couple times a day. And you can hit me up on Twitter as well, at Jordan Delugo.
Yeah, and I am Travis Holmes. I mean, you already know, bigcatcountry.com. Save it as your favorites. Like it. If you don't read, hire your local. What did the person say? Have your local librarian read Travis's latest Big Cat Country article if you can't read. Like, come on, either way, just click the link. Like, that's what I tell everybody. I tell everyone, if you're listening to the sound of my voice, click that like button on the YouTube side, rate and review us on the podcast side, and click every article you see on bigcatcountry.com. Support your local journalism. Support your guys who are on the ground, like GenJag, Jordan Delugo, like Travis D. Holmes at Big Cat Country and the Duval Dive podcast. And thank you guys for, again, hanging out with us again for a wonderful off-season conversation, man. And let us know what else you guys want to discuss throughout this offseason. We are here for. We're going to have our mailbag coming up soon. And yeah, I guess that's all I got for you, man. Click that like button and Duval. Y'all know what it is.
Thanks for having me.
Appreciate you.